So I know that you're looking to focus more on couples counseling.
Yes.
And so I just want to know what that looks like and what you're expecting, in the future.
Yes. So I'm very passionate about working with couples, and so is my husband. So we are aligning our passions together, and actually we will be launching couples coaching.
Oh, wow.
And so we will be able to go to the privacy of people's homes to do the coaching there, because a lot of times couples want the counseling, but they're like, I'm not going to an office.
Right.
And so kind of meeting them where they are, literally and figuratively.
Let's talk about how important it is for the couple to be aligned when you're dealing with entrepreneurship and someone stepping out. I don't know if he's an entrepreneur as well, but how important is that to make that dynamic work?
This is the way I put it. If you are married and you and your spouse aren't working on anything together, then I think it's easier to grow apart, because there needs to be some, and I'm not saying that every couple needs to work together, but there needs to be some place where both of your passions meet together, where it doesn't have to be a project or even a company, but there needs to be something that you and your partner can come together and work on. And I think that's important, because if you're building together, it brings you closer together. So I think that really kind of is very critical to the patchwork of the foundation. And I think a lot of couples they're forgetting their spouse, and they're going off into this world and all these other things, and they have nothing that they share in common with their spouse. And I think that's a problem. There's a lot of people who would disagree with me, but there needs to be something, a common ground that both work together on.
Right, so you're kind of like living two different lives and then coming in and like, oh, who are you?
Right, and then like 20 years later, like, I don't know how we got to this point. Yeah, because we have nothing that we're doing or working on together. And I think that when you work together, it just strengthens the bond.
Now, when did you realize that, what was the process, I should say, where you decided to leave maybe the 9 to 5 and step into entrepreneurship, which is so uncertain, and the hours are uncertain, and like, what was the thought process or plans that you had?
So a lot of people don't know this. I left my job of 12 years for a bigger position. And on the last day of my old job, I was walking up my driveway and I got a phone call. We are so sorry, Mrs. Bullock. The site that you were going to start your new position at shut down.
Wow.
And I remember I just fell to the ground and started crying. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have 4 kids. I need health insurance. Like, I was like, I really was like, what in the world am I going to do? I don't have a job. Like, I've never not had a job. And I was scared. I didn't choose to quit my 9 to 5.
Okay.
My 9 to 5 left me. And so, like, it was scary.
Wow.
And so, I went to a little depressive state for 48 hours, and then my husband was like, you got one more day to be depressed. And then I was like, okay. He was like, you don't see what God is doing. He had to put you out on the ledge and leave you there for you to make that move. And so that goes to me saying, if you're not ready to leave your 9 to 5, fine. God will give you a peace, and He will release you to leave your 9 to 5. But the reason why I just stepped into it is because I had no other choice. I had no other choice but to trust God. I was put in a position where I had no other option. And that was scary. And now it's at a point where even if I had the option, I wouldn't take it. So some people take that jump, that leap, that risk, and they leave their 9 to 5. Others, are pushed off the ledge. And I think I was pushed.
And sometimes I think it's super important that we are able to identify when a door is opening. Like, even when one door closes, another door opens, as opposed to seeing it as like a defeat. Or allowing it to keep you in that depressed state, and then not taking that step or taking that leap of faith to move forward. Just being able to identify when these doors are open. That's why I think it's so important to know what your passion is and your purpose is, so that you can be prepared, or your eyes can be open to when doors are being opened for you.
Absolutely.
And a pathway is being created for you to walk in. And I think one of the reasons why I'm doing Teacher Talks is because it's so important to be able to align those two things together. So that takes me into my next question, which is, when did you realize that this passion had a purpose that could lead to profit. Yeah.
Let me, and this might be a great message for women everywhere and men too. You know, don't be afraid to monetize your purpose. And I think that we're afraid to talk about money.
Mm-hmm.
And we should not be when we know what we're good at doing. You know, I used to be afraid to talk about money. I used to be afraid to charge my worth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You will be able to make money off of your purpose when you start to identify your worth.
Okay.
And then you start to solve a problem. Okay? So it's impossible not to make money when you're solving a problem. You know, regardless of what the problem is, I think industry is solving a problem.
Mm-hmm.
T-shirt Talks is solving a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of businesses and entrepreneurs who will benefit from these conversations, and so that is a solution to a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, when you can do that, and you can be confident in the gift that you have, I think that the conversation about money and finances becomes easier because you know what you're giving and you know the quality of what you're giving. So I think that's when you start to monetize your gift, and you can't be afraid to do it, because I'm at a point now where, you know, I will lose a client. You know, they'll come back if they want to work with me, and if they found a cheaper price, fine. But I'm not going to compromise because I know my worth, and it's not nothing, you know, to brag about, but I'm not giving discounts. you know, I can't because I know what I'm providing. You know, so I think that when you know your worth and you are confident in that worth, and that took me some time.
I was about to say, how did that progress? Like,
did
you just start out?
You're all confident. No, I did this afraid. Like, there are still times where I'm still afraid. Because sometimes your goals and your dreams can be so big that you're like, oh my gosh, like, how can I even get this done?
Right.
And can I really charge this amount? And I'm like, yes. And who needs to meet with me will meet with me.
Right.
My husband said something one Sunday. He said, you know, God isn't intimidated by our plans. We are. And I was like, wow, he's so true. It's so right. Because so we need to start to identify that. And even when you're scared and you're afraid and you're unsure, be confident that I know that the service I'm providing is good, and you'll be able to monetize.
So can you tell us, like, a story or an example of when you first decided that you weren't going to settle? How that works? Because that's such a nervous place to be when you're, you know how much you're worth, but now you have to actually project that to someone else. How did that work for you?
So when you said that, like, a person popped into my mind, and I'm like, I can see them still today, and I remember the day like it was yesterday. And he was like, he came to the counter, he was like, I'm not paying that. And I remember my husband was there, and my husband said, Jess, can I talk to you for a second? I said, sure. He said, let him go. And I said, but you know, he's another client, and he was like, let him go. He doesn't value your service. He said, if he needs you, he'll be back. Sure enough, he came back. Because he's like, I'm going to go somewhere else that doesn't charge an arm and a leg. Granted, I wasn't even charging an arm and a leg because I was too afraid to. But when I started to reduce that fear of people not wanting to work with me, that's when I was like, okay, I started to get more and more confident. And when people see your confidence, they're attracted to that. They want to. They're like, no, I want her. You know, they're like, how much you charge? It's $20 more than this person, but I'll pay it because I'm like, okay, you can go there. And when they see you don't flinch, they'll be like, she knows her stuff. And even if you don't, do
it afraid.
Do it afraid. Do it afraid.
Do it afraid. Okay, so what type of advice would you give someone who is stepping out into their purpose for the first time?
Preparation is everything.
Preparation.
You have to prepare. Because the danger in sowing seeds is not the sowing and the work to sow. It's the reaping of the harvest. And I think that people build, but they're not ready for the they're not ready for the overflow.
They're not really prepared.
So they're not prepared. So if you are opening a restaurant, or if you're starting a baking business and you're like, okay, I'm going to bake 20 cupcakes a week and I'm going to put out, my edible cupcakes. Well, all cupcakes should be edible, but my colorful cupcakes, right? And you need to prepare a price list for for catering, parties. Like, prepare it. Prepare for the abundance, because the problem is that it comes, you're not ready, and you get a bad rep. So for anybody who is just starting out, preparation is key. Do your research.
Yeah.
You know, look at your competitors' prices and what they're doing, and be an expert in your field. Even if you don't know, you know, there's a lot of areas that I don't, I'm not an expertise in, but I know because of the research I do. I do research every day. Research is me listening to a podcast on a topic I have no idea about every morning for a week. Research is me listening to audiobooks on topics about marketing and strategies for marketing. I'm not a marketing major. You know, I'm not a Facebook ads manager. I don't have no, but I research.
Right.
So, research and preparation, and analyze your market.
Right.
Analyze all the other people who are doing what you're doing, and like my father would say, the fourth thing is interview someone who's doing what you want to do, because you will get so much rich knowledge, and you'll determine, is this something I want to do long term?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And I think also when you're thinking about entrepreneurship or you're moving in that direction, understanding that it's not for the weary. Like, there is a work that you have to do. There's research that you have to do. There's a work. And I think even harder than your 9 to 5, because the 9 to 5 is so comfortable.
Yeah,
you get into your routine, you get into your rituals, you know that this check is coming in, you know that you're leaving at a certain time, and entrepreneurship, would you say, is on the opposite spectrum?
If you don't want to work hard, don't be an entrepreneur. If you don't want to take risks, don't be an entrepreneur. You know, I'm like a corporate dropout. Like, I'm never going back. But it wasn't until like 3 years ago where I started to realize the worth and all the work. And so I really need, you know, it's really important to understand this is 10 times harder than working for someone and knowing that you're going to be paid and you're going to be able to cover your expenses. Or you can look at the entrepreneur side as, okay, I'm going to hustle even harder because I know I need to make this happen in order to take care of my family and my responsibilities. So if you hustle and work hard, it's going to be for the beginning stages until you get a good team around you, and then you will set into a flow. You'll be able to reap, and that is the sweet part of the, like, it's just amazing, you know. But it's always, and an entrepreneur has a special spirit. They like to work, you know. So my husband and I were talking. I was like, "What's my hobby?" He was like, "Working." I was like, "Yeah, you're right." I like to work. I don't mind working. So I think my kids keep me balanced, because if I didn't have kids, I'd probably work every 7 days a week and probably just take really elaborate trips and then come back and work, boom, boom, and then, you know. But yeah.
So what has been your greatest challenge as a womanpreneur, I'll say?
People underestimating what I can do as a woman. I think that people underestimate what I'm capable of simply because I am an African American woman, and I don't know if I can say that.
Yes,
okay. Because
you are.
I'm being honest. I'm an African American woman, and it's sad because I have people question, you know, my capabilities of what I do. I have to make sure, you know, even when I move into a new space, the first thing that has to go up are my degrees, because I have to show people what you're buying, because they want to know what university I went to and what my accomplishments are before they purchase my services sometimes. And sometimes, you know, back in the day, that used to like really bother me. You know, well, where did you go to school? You know, what is your degree in? And you know, I don't get those questions as much because I think I have a reputation. But when those questions come, I have to say, look at the wall. You know, and not in a way that's like braggish, but kind of like, you're coming to me for services. I'm not selling crap, you know. And also, people automatically assume I'm working for someone. And I think the hardest thing is people just underestimating, and people not believing that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, which is why I move silently. So yeah.
So tell us about that, moving silently. That's how you, I guess my first question is, so when you feel as if you're being underestimated, you know, internally, I think those things can play a toll on us. What is your thinking process?
It's driving me.
Okay.
Listen. at this point in the game, somebody underestimates, I'm like, watch. You know? And
here I come.
It was never like that though. I used to like go home and be like, you're like, I can't believe they wouldn't think that. You know, it doesn't matter what you think now. Like, honestly, you can have your opinion, see me or not, you know?
Right.
But it takes time to get there. And I think that move silently basically means you have a core team of people who you share your ideas with. And then outside of that, those people's opinions and voices don't really matter or hold weight.
Okay, so Jessica, I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
How do you handle disappointments, or I'll say the so-called haters? And the other question is, what was the biggest mistake that you have made on this journey?
Okay, so the first one is very simple. I handle disappointments with prayer. I realize that I can get very emotional if I hear something that is completely contrary to what I believe about myself. So honestly, they have this saying that says haters are your elevators, and I really believe that. I'm like, honestly, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They don't matter. And if you have somebody hating on you as a compliment, like it's like, wow, this person is really hating on me. I must be really doing something. But half the time, you're not gonna know who your haters are. So just keep stunting, like, you know, because you don't know who they are, and they might be on the sideline and just be talking to other people. But honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
I love that. Haters are your elevator. I like that. I like that. I'm gonna coin this. No.
That's not mine. That's not mine. You can have it.
Haters are your elevator. So I ride you up to the top.
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So for the second part of the question, what was the biggest mistake that you made on this journey?
Budget.
Oh.
The biggest mistake was not tapping into resources that were in my face and paying for a lot of stuff, which, you know, brought wisdom, but, you know, be realistic with a budget for what you're doing. And you may have friends in different industries who can help you out and set up contracts. Be like, you know what, if you do this, barter systems. And I think a lot of times we don't use our leverage that we already have. And I've learned to barter with a lot of people who are in the same industry or in different industries than me. So for example, if you are into photography or marketing, what I will do is I say, okay, listen, if I'm doing a project with entrepreneurs who are stressed out, would you be willing to give a free flyer to each of them so I don't have to come out of pocket and try to give them like a free giveaway or something? So like leverage, use bartering systems, and really look at a realistic budget. And I think that a lot of times new entrepreneurs are unrealistic about budget and they're unrealistic about income. So that goes back to my original point. Interview someone who's been doing this for a while. You know, whatever you want to do, interview somebody who's been doing it for a while so that you can get good feedback and realistic feedback. And I think that that's the key. But my biggest mistake was spending money I ain't making. That is my biggest mistake.
Wow. And so let me ask you a question. So I know a lot of entrepreneurs, they inquire about like, how am I actually going to get this funded? How am I going to get this started? How am I going to make this a reality? What are your suggestions? Do you suggest doing it, you know, at home first and not jumping into it full time? Because when we talk about budget, I think where people get intimidated is that they don't have any money to budget. I didn't have any money. I started my business with $40, okay? And I hear a testimony coming on.
Listen, $40. You know, and God turned them 2 fish, you know. You know. No, I mean, and I look back and I'm like, wow, because we really didn't have anything. So we were really taking our time trying to look at, hey, listen, you know, we noticed that you have a building. Would you mind just giving it to me and for 3 hours a week? Because at that point, I didn't have any clients to see, but I knew I needed office space. So it really depends on what type of industry you're in. And it's okay if you start, your home office is your office. And I think don't underestimate small beginnings. You have a company. Treat it like it's a company. And I think that being realistic about that and having a business plan will allow you to accurately project for the future. So if you don't have a business plan, just stop watching this Tisha Talk. I'm sorry. Stop watching this Tisha Talk. Write a sketch of a business plan and then come back and watch the rest. Because a business plan is the conduit for you to see the future.
A business plan will keep you focused.
Yes, focus.
Because otherwise you'll be blowing with the wind and doing so many different things. Whereas a business, right.
Lots of mistakes with no business plan.
Right. So that's good advice, Jessica.
Thank you, Tisha.
You're welcome. So, okay, last question. Tell us, this is an exciting time for women entrepreneurs. And I hear it all the time in different people speaking. Even I was reading, listening to the Audible by T.D. Jakes in his book Soar, and how this is an awesome time for women stepping out into different industries. So can you just tell us some of your highest moments as a womanpreneur and your lowest moments? Well, maybe we should start with the lowest moments first, and then end with the high.
Okay, so the lowest moments were, I think that when I had the people closest to me, and I'm not saying that they thought they had their best interest at heart for me. There was a moment that came where I had to choose between the business and being financially stable.
Okay.
And that was, I would like to say, year 2. And that was a really low for me, because I literally felt depressed at the thought of losing Life Options counseling services, because I had grown attached to it. Because a lot of people don't know, your business becomes like another child.
Right.
So I had to make a decision. Do I listen to the people who care about me, which was not, okay, my parents, okay? My parents. Listen, my parents go hard in the paint for Jess, right? But they were like, Jess, you have a family. Does this make sense? You're spending a lot of money, and we're building another business ourselves, and we can't help you out the way we want to.
Right.
You should think about shutting that down, because what was happening is I was talking to my mom and dad, like, oh my gosh, this is stressing me out, blah, blah, blah. But they were turning that into me complaining about being overwhelmed with the work. And so I remember it like yesterday, my dad said, Jess, you need to shut Locks down. And I felt so bad. And I was really upset. So sometimes you may have to ignore the people who are closest to you if you have a dream. Because they may have your best interest at heart, but that's your birth to deliver. That's your baby to deliver. That was a low point for me, because I was like making nothing and spending a lot. So that was a very low point for me.
I hear that so often with entrepreneurs who have stepped out to do something, and even before they even got their foot wet, people have discouraged them. Like, are you sure? What are you doing?
Out of care and concern, but you're like, I want to do this.
Right, and they're successful to this day, because they didn't listen.
Wow.
So let's talk about your highs.
Okay, wow.
A lot of those.
Wow. Listen, I'll just say this. Don't forget to celebrate your highs, because I feel as though like highs happen at different places of your journey. And I think one of the highs I had is when I was able to get my own office space. That was like, wow, we're like for real, like a business. Like I'm not like in my bedroom on my phone, like, hold on, please. She's not in the office right now. I'm like, shh, So that was awesome. Like I was walking to my own office space. Another high was when I was able to hire an assistant to help me. Because I was like, oh my gosh, I feel relieved because someone's helping me. Another high was when I hit my first $10,000 month.
Ooh.
I was like, oh my gosh, I almost listened to Daddy. I didn't think, and I'm going to just put it out there. When you're a brand new counselor, this is talking about 1999, 2000, brand new counselor. Can I disclose personal information?
Yeah,
okay, so my first job, they said, well, we're offering you $27,000 a year.
You said,
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm rich.
What am I do?
I thought I was rich. I was like, what am I doing with all this money? I went home, my dad said, go back and quit.
Yeah.
So I was like, you're not making no money. I was like, what are you talking about, Daddy? He was like, Jessica, $27,000 in 52 weeks. He said, you ain't doing math. You're going to be poor. I'm just thinking I had $27,000. Like I never had that much money in my life. I was straight out of college. I had no money. This job did not increase my money by much. I had to fight for every increase.
Wow.
That's another thing. If you are a woman, listen, men, there's a statistic that men ask for raises 3 times as much as women. They're in that office. You're not. You don't have a raise because you didn't go into that office and you didn't ask for it. Ask for your raise. But, you know, I never thought that I would make what I made in a 12-month year in 2 months. Like, that boggles my mind. And those are highs. When I just looked at an old paycheck yesterday. It's so weird. I was like, look at this paycheck. I'm going to keep this paycheck so I can show people what I used to make. And, you know, that was a high. Opening a second location, that was a high. And being able to help family with jobs, that was a high. So, but, you know, I think I told you this. I never celebrated anything. So this year is 2 things. 2018 is the year of celebration and the year of delegation. So I will be delegating. I have delegated so many projects, so many things that have my fingerprints on it that I'm passionate about. But I'm still in control, but I'm not doing all the details and burning myself out. So that's one, and I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating this year. I'm celebrating all the things that hitting 5 years in a business is, most businesses fold in 5 years. So hitting 5 years, that's a high. So like, there's a lot of highs to be high about, and so like, I have not taken that time, and I'm just so thankful to God. I couldn't have done this without God, because that's, you know, everybody has their own source of strength, but for me, faith and spirituality holds me down, and then my husband. So, and in that order.
Well, are there any last words that you would like to give, and anything else that you would like to say before you give us all of your information? Let us know what projects you have coming up, what you're currently still working on, how to contact you. Is there anything you'd like to add and let our viewers know?
Sure. The only thing I would add is that if you are working on anything that means that's passionate for you, don't give up. It doesn't. You're gonna want to quit every day, maybe. You may want to fire anybody who works with you every day. It's going to be hard and difficult, but the payoff is 20 times more rewarding than you quitting because you just thought it was too much hard work. If it's hard work, it's worth fighting for. And have people surrounded around you who's going to build you up and not discourage you from doing what you want to do. You're going to learn that a lot of people that you may come in contact with may not understand your vision because it may be too big for them to comprehend. So you might not be able to share it with everybody. But just be consistent. No matter what it is, if you're consistent and you're passionate, it will blow up. Doesn't matter what it is. That's consistency and passion. Can't mess with it.
So tell us the things that you have coming up. I know you're doing like a vlog.
Yes, I'm doing a vlog. I'm telling Jess. And so basically that blog was inspired because I have people that come into the office and they're like, listen, we were at home and we're like, we're telling Jess. And I'm like, so my assistant was like, you should make a t-shirt that says I'm telling Jess. And I was like, what? So I'm telling Jess, when you say I'm telling Jess, that means you're ready to move. That means you're ready to work. That means you're ready to make a change. So I don't take it lightly when people are like, I'm going to tell Jess. Because that means that that's a call to action. You want something to happen. Not that I'm God or anybody, but when it like, I'm telling Jess, trust me, when you tell Jess, we're going to make some moves. Like, you're not telling me in vain, you know? So I have that vlog. I haven't publicized it yet because I'm still working out some stuff. But we have like 10 ebooks coming out this year. I have a whole vlog coming out talking about why you have to do an ebook. You know, we have my husband and I have some couples coaching sessions and events coming out that you're supposed to be helping me with.
I will be.
Teacher Talks will be partnered up with and so we just have a lot of things coming down the pipe. Some things I can't talk about yet because it's not completely conceptualized, but it's exciting. It's year 20, great team. You know, the year of greatness, the year of delegation and celebration. So we have a lot of things happening.
And you're also an author.
Yes. So actually, my book's right there. She got it right there.
Yes.
So Invisible Tears And that's just basically chronicling my husband and I's time after we lost one of our children. And it's really for anybody who needs healing after loss. I think it will help somebody who even just lost a family member. It also gives like some inspiration for people who don't know what to say to the people.
That is so, me and my husband talk about that all the time. Like not knowing the right words or the things to say to people when they experience a loss.
Yeah, we wrote a whole chapter on that because some of the things people were saying, we're like, you really just said that to us?
Wow.
You know, so we wrote a whole chapter on how to respond to people who, you know, don't know what to say. This book is available on Barnes & Nobles and Amazon.com. There's also another ebook that Kevin and I wrote, and I don't have any more copies here because guess what? They sold. They're gone. And it's called 13 Positions of Love.
Oh, I read that.
Okay.
I read that. Amazing.
So it's an ebook, but you know we had a couple copies printed. So we're coming out with more, but that is just kind of like how to love your spouse in very practical, quick terms. And yeah, we're just excited about. So there's another one coming out, Tuck Tuck Tuck, A Father's Guide to Touch and Play. So that's
Touch
important.
and play?
So basically, a lot of fathers who present a fortitude of machismo don't feel like they can hug and embrace and be affectionate. So this kind of gives them a guide to non-traditional healthy touch with their child. So, and it's all based off of a story that Kevin, this game Kevin started with the kids. It's called Tuck Tuck Tuck. So that book is coming. And
exciting.
So, yeah, so we have a couple of things coming down the pipe.
So how can they reach you?
Okay, so you can email me at imtellingjess@gmail.com. Or you can, you know, if it's for the counseling side, we're at support@locksnj.com. So either way, I can be reached that way. And also Facebook Messenger, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram, Jessica E. Bullock. So either way, I can be reached.
Okay, guys, so I hope that this session of Tisha Talks has been helpful for you, has inspired you, has encouraged you, and has gotten you motivated. Some of the questions that you might have had about stepping out into your purpose and into your passion, hopefully Jessica's been able to answer some of those things. At least it can be a guide, it can be a motivation for you to begin to just step out and do those things that you know are purpose within you. And so guys, as always, when you align your passion with your purpose,
great things happen.
Talk to you later. Hello, welcome to Tisha Talks. I didn't like that one. Hey guys, welcome to Tisha Talks.
Hey, what's up? Oh, am I in this? Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Wait. Hey guys, welcome to Tisha Talks.
All right,
Come
so
sing
let me-
my theme song.
You got a theme song?